Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's me coming back at you again with another vid. Now, an interesting video popped up on my recommended timeline, and it's titled "Boxing Librarians Hating on Deontay Wilder versus Triple G." Now, this individual that made this video, he's a big Adrian Broner fan. Obviously, I'll go ahead. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He's a fanboy of Adrian Broner, and he said something interesting in this video. He said that, well, it's something within the lines. I'm only paraphrasing what he said. He said, "I don't get these boxing historians that hate present day fighters. And when people attack me, they said that I'm hating on Deontay Wilder. I'm not hating on Deontay Wilder. I'm only telling him to step up on his competition." Really? Really? Because I don't understand that logic. Because when the librarian, myself, or Reef, the watcher, when we say the same thing about Gennady Golovkin, we immediately get attacked and get called as haters. So I don't understand. You guys can't throw out the word hate and then use it to define it in a certain way to suit your narrative and bullshit agenda. So this is where this situation becomes very complex, if not if not hypocrisy at best. Okay, when it comes to this situation. Okay, now the one thing that librarian myself and Reef, we've all been very consistent about Deontay Wilder. Okay, we like the guy. But all we're telling him to do is like, look, man, if you want to be considered a all-time great heavyweight, if you want the respect that you've been, looking for quite some time now, just step up in competition. That's all we're asking him to do. But at least we can be consistent about that, while you guys won't be consistent with that with Gennady Golovkin. Let's be realistic here. Now, another guy that said that Golovkin's done more than Deontay Wilder. Well, okay, I don't know, because here's the thing. Golovkin's only won one title in the ring. He was gifted 2 belts, okay? Now, has Golovkin fought any pound-for-pound fighters? No, he hasn't. He hasn't fought any pound-for-pound fighters. No, he hasn't fought any lineal champions. So if you want to compare and contrast Wilder's career versus Deontay Wilder, well, let me go backtrack this just a little bit, because I know I initially said this a couple years back that it's kind of unfair to criticize both, to compare and contrast both of these fighters' careers, given the fact that they're still in it and they have a long way to go, until their careers is concluded. Then you can do that. But if you want to hypothetically do it now, they're about on the same level if you think about it. Because like I said, neither of them has fought any lineal champions. Neither of them has really, quote unquote, unified any titles yet. Gennady Golovkin is a unified champion, but let's be realistic. He's been awarded 2 of those 3 belts that he has right now. Of course, it's not his fault, but it is what it is. And you cannot give him credit for being awarded a title. And number 3, they haven't fought any pound for pound fighters. So it is kind of interesting, because they're all going into their well over their 30th pro fight, and they're finally getting some bit of good competition, whatnot. But it is what it is. I got sidetracked a little bit, but the one thing that kind of bothers me, well, not saying bothers me, is that we get called YouTube boxing historians, and we get clowned for our wealth of knowledge and and the respect for the rich history of the sport, right? These people, these uploaders who claim to be boxing expert, but they've openly admitted that they've watched the sport for only 3, 4, 5, 7 years now. Whenever the librarian, myself, or Reef bring up past fighters that they never heard of, they don't care to know about, and we actually bring up facts about their careers and how we say that they've actually done much more greater things than the present day fighters like Deontay Wilder, like maybe Deontay Wilder, or especially Gennady Golovkin has done, they get all upset. They get upset. They start trashing history. They trash these fighters, whatnot. And, they call us haters. So, which I don't understand, because sometimes, if you think about it, since they always say that Gennady Golovkin is the best middleweight of all time, or he's the greatest fighter of all time, they kind of bring up history in certain ways, because they're trashing other fighters that they have no knowledge of, and make it seem like their careers doesn't matter to them, which I don't get. So when they do these things, all we ask, librarian myself, all we ask is like, okay, if you really believe, hold on for a second, guys. Ooh. Sorry about that. I'm back. So, anyways, all we ask is that you put it up for live debate. Come on to the Hangout, state your case, and tell us why. Lay out your points and tell us why do you think Gennady Golovkin is the greatest middleweight of all time, or you think he's the best middleweight, the greatest middleweight of all time, or you think he's the greatest fighter of all time, or in fact, state your case and tell us why you think he's the most feared fighter of all time. And when we ask for that simple request, we get shot down. What do these fanboys do? Rather than take us up on our offer, they decline us and they go on and they do live, not live, they go on and do video responses instead, just to get their point across. The reason why they won't do it live, because they know damn well that they won't have strong points to present their case as the dialogue stretches out. You know, it could stretches a course of an hour, 2 hours, or 3 sometimes. So they know that. So they know damn well that they won't have strong points to defend against me in the librarian, since they acknowledge that we know more about the sport than they do. They know that. So this is the reason why, again, they cower out in situations like that. Okay? So another thing is like, when I bring up certain points like Adrian Broner, for example, I mean, when I bring up the fact that he hasn't had one successful title defense, I think he's had one maybe, which is maybe one. I think he does. I don't know. But from my knowledge, he hasn't had one successful title defense out of the 4 division titles that he's won. And he hasn't really beaten any fighter that you could consider close to being an ATG, an all-time great. Okay? Not knocking Broner for, hey, he did win 4 divisions. He won 4 titles. That's great. It's not an easy thing to do. But at the same time, when I point out the fact that he is overhyped, he's just a name. He's known for his brashness outside the ring. Then this guy got upset when I brought this up. Okay. So again, he can't say that. Well, it's not hate when I tell Deontay Wilder, when I criticize Deontay Wilder legitimately. But when I criticize his favorite fighters like Gennady Golovkin or Adrian Broner, it's hate. You can't say that. That you can't have it both ways, like I always say. So, but the truth of the matter is, guys, is that you can't, the all-time great fighters are going to get defended no matter what. You guys can label us as, historians, haters of present-day fighters, which is not true. The librarian, like myself and Reef, we're not haters of present-day fighters. We respect them. But when they go around saying that they're the best of the world or they're the greatest of all time, which some fighters are within their right to say that, but if they're not fighting the best competition in their division or moving up weight classes to challenge themselves, it's a slap in the face to those who came way before them. It's a slap in the face to Charlie Burley. It's a slap in the face to Leo Huck. It's a slap in the face to Jack Britton, Tommy Loughran, Sammy McVeigh, Klondike, Jim Jeanette, Jack Johnson, Sugar Ray Robinson, Ezra Charles, Barbados Joe Wilcott, Barbados who else? Jersey Joe Wilcott, the Marcianos in the world. So yeah, we're not going anywhere. So again, you can't have it both ways when you use the word hate to define your own narrative and your bullshit agenda. That's all I gotta say. I'm out.